All right, one scripted question, then we'll just talk. But
let's do it.
The two of you, Maggie and Kyle, tell me, and you probably want to do it separately, whoever wants to go first, but tell me your accidental franchise story. How did you guys fall into franchising?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you can start, Maggie, with that one.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we didn't think we wanted to franchise the company at all. And Kyle had spent many years at Raising Cane's, 7 or 8 years. And after he left, one of his favorite district managers that he worked with that had been his boss, and they continued to stay friends, he left Cane's and had gone into like some insurance thing and came back to him after a visit and was like, man, I got to get back in the game. I got to get into restaurants. Please let me do something with you with Dillas because I love what you're doing. And we were like, no way. Like,
yeah, this is 2018, like 5 years after we had started Dillas. And so it was pretty early on.
Yeah, we didn't think that there was any way we could support him in Louisiana, but he really wanted to. And so we made a deal happen. And there we were, little mini franchisors.
Yep.
Starting out with not knowing much about it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it was awesome though, like you really quickly learn. And I think that our values were aligned with franchising because we were like, oh, wow, like we're serving Pete. His name is Pete, a Primo Restaurant Group, just like we're serving our restaurants, right? Like they kind of need the same stuff, like stuff breaks and stuff happens. And
inside
accounting,
the unit, but we got to help develop him as a business owner, which was, serving our passion a little bit. And like you said, accounting, IT, the things that he had never had to do before, just running restaurants versus owning restaurants was exciting to kind of share the knowledge and help him grow.
So we looked at each other and we're like, hey, we're already supporting one. Like we've committed to this long term. So let's share this, like beyond just Pete, beyond just our vision for the brand. And really, like we're passionate about people. We're very culture and people first. And, so we're like, we want to make an impact and we want to be in a lot of different communities. And why limit it to just what we're trying to build in DFW? Let's get it out there, So yeah, that's what we were saying.
So friend comes in, you get unit one going, and you say, okay, now we're going to franchise this thing. So it changes the perspective. What were your expectations then? And I think a lot about this. Like so many emerging franchisors are created, and sometimes it's because obviously consultants sell big dreams. But are you like, I want to have 100 units in the next 5 years? Is it smaller than that? Is it like, we don't know what the dream is? Like, take me back to the dream and then talk about kind of how that journey's gone.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, the dream for the business in general is to be the brand for Primo Quesadilla meals. So our vision is very big, right? And then as we were going, we're like, okay, that is a great vision, but let's really focus on our purpose. And we identified our purpose of building community through these Primo Quesadilla meals, right? And so we're like, okay, well, if we're going to do that, let's impact and let's deliver the goods in 150 communities. Like that'll be our kind of short-term, 10-year target. And so backing off of that, we're like, okay, if that's going to be true, what do we need to do? And, going back to about 2 years ago, we're like, okay, well, we hired some people and consultants and, trusted mentors. Hey, where do we start? Well, you need to have a rock solid FDD. Hey, you need to do this. And so we started going through that process of really laying the foundation and the groundwork because we've been in business for 12 years now. You know what I mean? So like the restaurants are
rock solid,
yeah. Like we've built very deep verticals and manpower and culture and operations and training and financial performance and top line and all that sexy stuff, and it's like, okay, like now how do we apply this and invite others into it to really go for the scale piece, make a bigger impact.
And I think to your question, kind of the mindset shift of, supporting one franchisee is kind of like having an extension of us. And then what we learned through that whole process of setting all that up is like, we have to really think about the franchise side of the business as its own complete entity. It needs its own structure, its own marketing, its own budgets. Like it's a totally separate piece. We have two different babies now instead of one.
Yeah. And thing that we had, and I mean, sorry to cut you off, but like we're the only quesadilla QSR. So we were like, let's go.
We got to get to market.
We gotta go.
Like, you know, like we want to dominate that niche, and like we want to invite operators who are just as passionate about us or as we are in terms of the primo quesadillas and the people that are going to power it.
Well, I think what you both said is important to call out here. I think about so many businesses that franchise their business, and you know, they're said get an FDD done. Not a great FDD. It's like just check mark.
Yeah, legal.
And they say get this operations manual done. Which do people even read the operations manual? No.
Yeah.
And so you build these two things, but what they don't say is do all that hard work, everything you just said of what we did in the restaurants on supply chain to operations to customer experience to marketing more customers to how we treat our staff. Nobody ever says go build the franchise growth manual. And so you say we're a franchise, and I'm like, great. Yeah. And you kind of sit there and you're like, well, we have a franchise website, and maybe someone was going to want to come in. But it requires the same thing as building business one. It's almost building business two. And I think that's where the miss happens. So the expectations end up being misaligned. Like you can have a dream of we want to serve 150 communities, but then you look backwards and say, where's the plan? Which obviously Traction or EOS is going to help you build that out. So that aha moment, like, okay, we franchised, maybe we didn't treat this like a business. We didn't operationalize this. Now that you're putting that in place, like, does the dream go to maybe it's not going to happen to we're feeling uncomfortable to now it's back to like now we see what's possible with our business?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I think that the other thing is the team. You know what I mean? Like it really requires a dedication to building out the service component, the team that is involved in terms of, you know, bringing the right people in. You know, like obviously like Maggie and I are a really big part of like the vetting process and talking to the people that, you know, are going to be
working with us every day, right?
Yeah. Like we want people who are obsessed like we are with making a primo quesadilla QSR, like be the next big national thing, you know, like takes a different type of person, you know, like it takes like that dedication. We're super excited about it. And I think that, you know, a lot of what Maggie and I are such, I mean, this is like calling yourself humble. It's like, you're never supposed to do that. But I think that we're such good people that we're like, if we're going to bring anybody into this, we want to be doing it at a really high level. Right. And so we were like, you know what, that still needs a little bit of work. Let's go work on that. Let's get this simplified menu rolled out in our restaurants, dial it in. Right. Let's get this chicken product just right so it's scalable, right? So all of those things that we've been working on from a manpower, culture, operations, financial performance, and marketing standpoint, we're like, we want to be great at it before we ever, you know, commit somebody to going on this journey with us. So a lot of that was the work, honestly, was building the confidence and like personally building the confidence that like the people that we bring on are going to be like, hell yeah, let's do this. And then our confidence in hell yeah, we can support you. Like, let's roll.
And we have to, with that kind of shift of it being a separate business, we have to detach ourselves a little bit from the company operations, right? And let operations handle the restaurant customers while we handle our new customers. Our customer is now the franchisee. Mm-hmm. That's who we're selling to, who we're talking to and marketing to and supporting. So our mindset has to shift on who our direct customer is versus the end user now.
Yeah, we've been so passionate about building out the kind of the restaurant infrastructure. And now we're shifting that passion to how do we build out the franchise infrastructure, right? Like the onboarding piece. And of course, we have incredible onboarding for our team members, and that's going to be applicable to the new franchisee. But our internal processes, right? And how dedicated we are to making sure that the people who come into our system are like, wow, like their restaurants operate at this high of a level and they've applied that to this kind of franchise onboarding process and how we're going to be treated and the culture here, the culture as a franchisee, franchisor relationship. Like we're looking to really bring that over to this business, you know, and like be best in class. Like if you're going to be like do anything, be amazing at it, be great at it. Like that's our belief. And like, we're going to apply that same passion and energy and obsession to this business.
One thing that you have on your website, you have the top selling items off of DoorDash, which I think is incredible. And quesadillas are number 2.
Yeah.
French fries were number 1.
Yes.
So the insight is there. I'm curious why you think. I mean, it's crazy to me that this category hasn't been defined with those 2 items built into your structure. Yeah, don't tell anybody. But is there is it like if I oversimplify it, I think about like how long it took for Orange Theory to be created, and it's probably because someone's like, like, wouldn't I rather build a gym that has everything?
Sure.
And so maybe the mindset has been, wouldn't I rather build a Mexican concept or even a QSR that offers everything? And so maybe, like, I think you're doing basically the same thing that an Orange Theory does, and everybody in niche fitness, like the cycle bars and everything else, where they said, here's this big box. How do we extract? And now when the customer wants this is how they go to. They might still do cycling and Orange Theory at the same time, but
yep.
So now you're doing that in this category. Is that why? Because it's like the ego is too high to say, let's focus on something that's great?
I would say that while we are focusing on the quesadilla, we are able to bring a wide variety of flavors because it's really just a focused vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's not just straight Mexican food. We're really like American favorite flavors.
Yeah.
And comfort food, Southern flavors like that anyone will resonate with. And we can expand that too, and opens the door for opportunities to try different flavors in them. So while it is one channel of vehicle of a quesadilla, you'd still get a wide optionality of flavor, which is such a great thing. And I mean, with this new simplified menu that we just rolled out, we really leaned into that data, and our data supports it as well, that fries were our number 1 seller along with the quesadilla, which goes so well with our like American style flavors, and really honing in on QSR being who we are identifying with. So now our new menu is all quesadillas come with fries and a drink. It's like, make everyone happy, make it simple. Right. Don't have to think about the decision-making process. We know you'll be leaving with a great experience if you lean into the meal.
Here's the other thing.
Sorry, one question on that before you go. So Maggie, I'm putting you on the spot with this.
Sure.
You just said something that's interesting to me, like that we focus on the flavors, and when flavors are the focus, then the guest user frequency can increase because they can come there for different types of flavors depending on where their flavor profile is at during the week. Sure. Do you have the data that says like customer X comes in and gets one product on one day, but they have variation in what they order based on their frequency?
It's tough to get that granular at our size, but most often people are creatures of habit. And we hear this from our team members on the front lines. I mean, a lot of people come in, they know exactly what they want every time. I would say that's more common. They get locked into one that they had that was just so good that they're like too scared to go outside their bubble. But then there are those customers that are the ones that are going to customize something different every time they come in, maybe because they're the creative type, right? And they enjoy, the creativity of making their own.
We launched our loyalty app relatively recently and have just started extracting data, and it's been incredible. So Thanks is the platform we use for our loyalty, and like being able to kind of like really look into some of that like more detailed data is something that's incredible that you can do these days. So being able to like really look into that segmentation that you're talking about is definitely like right at our fingertips. The other thing I'll add on is, and Raising Cane's being there for 7 years during kind of when I was there from when like they were at like 35 to about 135. And so, not only is it a little bit of validation for me, and I was really trying to extract all I could in terms of what it takes to run an incredible restaurant culture. And what I loved about them and what I brought over to Dillas is the obsession of execution operationally, right? Like that's my true thing in terms of like this craveable product. Yes, it's craveable and when it's done right every time, right? And they're coming for that trust. They're coming for that consistent experience, the great service, the high quality, the restaurant grade primo quesadillas, right? And like we flow cook these quesadillas in a way that nobody else does, in a way that nobody else can, that's delivering this quality and the speed, right? Those two things combined, that's the magic. That's what we've got.
Every quesadilla grilled to order. Like
Yeah.
as soon as you order it, we're not putting ingredients until we get your order. There's like no holding bucket of quesadillas in the back.
Yeah. That's the true opportunity. And like, that is like what I'm so excited about, because we're just getting started to be able to kind of, we have the convenience part, but now it's about like really meeting the customer where they are, to where it's not a 5, 6, 7, 8 mile drive, because that's what it is now. Like we're driving, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I've got to go get that. But being able to be closer to where they are and kind of building out more units, I think is just going to shoot us through the roof.
I mean, I love that statement. I'll give a bad example. Like I think about the better burger category. One in particular that comes to mind. I won't say their name.
Yeah.
But the magic of that category was burgers, fries, and shakes. And if you go back to McDonald's early stage, burgers, fries, and shakes, you think about Cane's or anybody else that's come up in the space, it's simplicity of the decision making too, back to the customer, that we're not overcomplicating and giving the cheesecake menu.
Sure.
And so I think about the better burger brands, tremendous growth. But then I said, if ego can always be stepped to the side, then the brands win. Like Cane's never let ego come in. They're not going, there can be LTOs, but they're not going vastly beyond what the foundation of the brand is, versus some of these burger brands start adding hot dogs or bowls, or like it gets too diverse. They're like, well, customer asked for this, so now we got to get this. And then before they know it, the simplicity of the operations has now become chaotic, which then in turn becomes chaos for the franchise owner, and in turn makes it so that scale doesn't happen. And so I say all that because obviously you guys have such an important lens with those 7 years that you're at Cane's. Like, does that become the North Star? Like at the end of the day, it's not the quesadilla and fried. Like, yes, that's the widget, but it's the operational infrastructure of staying true to this North Star that is what's going to propel the brand forward.
Yes, because we're people first. Right? We're ops first. And so like when you look at it through that lens, you're like, well, okay, yes, you said it great, Nick, like the widget, right? You have to produce the widget perfectly every time. Well, in this day and age, you're looking at the labor that needs to produce that widget. It can't be overly complicated. You can't be putting 19 gears on it, you know, like it's got to be something where you're like, you know what, we can create an amazing culture. It can be simple enough to pick up very quickly. So we call it time to trained, right? We have low time to trained because the processes are relatively simple with super high quality stuff. We prep and fresh make a lot of it, but it's simple in procedure, right? In terms of getting the day going. And then when you've got all those people in position, we're also leveraging AI for a prep tool. You know, we're leveraging AI for our scheduling platforms. Like we're very like ahead or trying to be built on AI and like incorporating that into our brand rather than trying to catch up. But then that frees up your leaders, your shift leaders, to be able to be in front of the customer, right? And to be able to be the oil that's making all the gears go instead of being a gear, right? And then that attracts great leaders because they want to lead. They don't want to work a position, right? So there's all this kind of goes back, right, to like kind of how to make the box run efficiently, to be able to have that endpoint be just right for the customer, right? They're the top of the funnel, you know? So if we can kind of have great GMs supporting the great shift leaders, they support the great team, and those teams create amazing experiences for our customer, we're going to be in freaking great shape.
Yeah, everything's about making it as easy and efficient for the team and the customer. So that's why we did all that operational work and the menu work to have those work hand in hand for speed and efficiency.
Yeah.
I would imagine, I mean, everything you're talking about is fantastic. I would imagine what you're talking about, where Kane said no franchise, is because of the lack of control on that. And they know that they can control the outcome by owning it corporately and being able to say, this is how we do it. It's non-negotiable.
Sure.
Not does that scare you at all, but more so on a glass is half full. How do you protect that in the operators that you're bringing in? How do you vet that to make sure that they're not just buying into the excitement of owning the brand, but they're buying into the mission that is really operational excellence?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, I'll take this because peeling back the curtain a little bit, you know, Cane's did have pockets of franchising early on to be able to expand the brand, which I think is, you know, like we're excited to do. and we might limit it the same way. Like we want to have exceptional operators that are growing lots of locations, not lots of operators growing limited locations. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is we've been doing this for 12 years, right? Like the gaps aren't this thick, right? For like, oh, I don't know, what should I do here? They're like this thick, right? Like everything has a built out system. If you talk to anybody who's been behind the scenes at Dillas, looked at our intranet, looked at any of the processes, procedures, talked to our people, it's locked in, right? So the last thing a franchisee wants to do is have to worry about the operations or be creative in a way, right?
They don't need to,
right? They want to go do the things that are important, which are driving top line sales, connecting with their community, right? Looking at the P&L for opportunities in terms of the things on their COGS or labor that are going to be, ways for them to grow. And we see profit as two things, growth and giving, right? So if we can help them grow top line sales, create a fantastic system, they're going to buy into our belief of building community through Primo Quesadilla meals. They're going to have a surplus, and that way they can grow, open more units, and also give, right? Like to the local high school, give back to the local church or whatever it might be in their community that is going to make a difference. Because naturally, I think that makes for great business owners, right? Like, and it makes for great, places in the community that aren't just a, restaurant in the community, but the community restaurant is really what we want to be when we show up to town, uplifting, right? And so I guess that's kind of that's a long answer to your short question. But hopefully it's detailed enough to you you've been around franchising for a long time. So I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's trusting the process, right? When they come train with us and get immersed with our operators, they're like, this is how you do it. And this is why you do it. They've got to believe in that, and that comes from our team sharing that knowledge of trust us, this works.
Yeah. The culture and people first, piece of it is like, man, if I can put this into place, I'm going to have a restaurant that is predictable. And to me, predictability in a restaurant is like the Shangri-La, right? Like that's what you want. You don't want this like crazy heartbeat, monitor of like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. What if we do this? What if we do that? Like you don't want that. And I think the only reason that companies do that is because they panic, right? Like, it's like, oh no, like this happened, that happened. And we need to like switch strategy and go this direction rather than just like being stable.
Stick to the playbook.
Stick to the playbook, create predictable experiences for the customer, and that will win over time. And we'll build top line. And when you build top line, naturally you're going to have great flow through and you're going to be able to build your bottom line.
I mean, my quick comment is we did a study with a business, and it was so that I could convince the founder to actually do what I wanted them to do. We're gonna give away a product, and average check doubled when you gave something away, and wow. So like the reality is like I cross-apply that over to giving back to a church or giving back to a school. The reality is when you give, you actually get, but most people don't understand, even in how karma works, it can create the cycle. Hey, can you guys think of a time or a person, and it can be separate, just mentally in your mind, where they've wanted to buy into this business and you said no? Can you tell me what caused you to say no?
Sure. I mean, I've got one specific example. I don't know if Maggie does, but we're looking for passionate operators. Like you can tell, hopefully you can tell, like that operations is extremely important to me. You need to have a level of acumen, right? Around kind of wanting to be, a restaurant operator, like you got to be in it for the right reasons. It's a very challenging business. Most restaurants aren't kind of the overnight success. They take lots of people working really hard to build them. And they have a long life cycle. Most of these leases are 10 years, 15 years. You got to,
it's a marriage, right? We're going to be together for a while.
Yeah. And so it's super important. So some of it, in terms of like when I've said no, is just, we've worked so hard to be able to build and develop and share this with the right people. We have the luxury of being very selective, and it's not that we don't have time, right? And that we're not passionate to coach and train people to be able to successfully run a Dillas. But we've gotten it so far ahead of kind of where, you are versus a really fresh new franchisee and you're just trying to sign up anything, that we feel like we kind of like have earned the right to work with better operators that are kind of like can meet us where we are, and we can shorten the curve on our proper scale. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to open really strong, well vetted, great locations and speak the same language quickly, rather than do a lot of like onboarding and training for people who maybe have never opened a restaurant before. Yeah. So those are the types of opportunities that we say no to at this point, and that, that we're looking to say yes to when we're, talking to the people in our pipeline.
Yeah, I think the specific examples I think of is like someone that is looking at it as a vehicle instead of a business, right? They're trying to park money that they're like, hey, I've got a surplus in my business over here, or I think that, I can extract some passive income from this. Or maybe they're looking at it as a real estate opportunity that they can plug this brand into, and that's not really the right reason that aligns with our core values.
Yeah, especially, we're being in this business for 12 years and, Maggie and I are both, restaurant freaks, right? Like we're sponges and we know a lot of people. We really want to follow the best playbook, not the worst playbook. Right. There's a lot of bad examples, but the good examples are like, hey, be methodical. Your first franchisees are going to make all the difference for you. Yes, you're going to be, real, truly in the trenches with them. And so make great decisions on them. Because if we can build a solid foundation and, scale that up, like we're going to be able to attract best in class. And then it's going to be perfectly aligned with our best in class product, best in class culture. Like we want to do everything the right way. And we're very intentional about that.
Philosophically, the hardest challenge that you guys face in this is because you do have a good business. It's like your business is conditioned for people with operational background that have hustle and grit. The challenge is sometimes they don't have the money to open up a restaurant. Sure. And so like you think about like the bootstrappers end up building the best businesses. I'm sure you had to bootstrap and make some decisions when you get into this, and now you've perfected it. But now you're like, not only do we want the grit and hustle, we also need the financial bandwidth so that you can actually scale this business. And that's like the hardest disconnect in this, because it's probably not a matter of finding people that could get excited about the business and believe in your operational structure. You like to follow someone that's been at Cane's for 7 years and is going to say, here are the best practices, here's what I've perfected, icing on the cake. I don't think that's hard. It's aligning those two, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that, I would categorize Pete and Primo Restaurant Group. I think he is a dreamer. Like I think that he was like, man, like let's see how one goes. He opened it and had, great sales. But the way kind of his group is how I think a lot of groups that will join us kind of look, especially on the early stage. There is money. He's got a group. It's not just Pete, and he didn't, mortgage his house to do Dillas. Like he said, hey, I'm going to partner up with this person, and I'm an excellent operator. I've got the passion. I'm going to be the GM from day one. And then you, Mr. X, are going to help power that vision for me. And let's go do this. It's a great business opportunity. Now he's got 5 locations. He's got a Primo support office of his own. And so like he's got multiple people at his office, and now he's kind of scaling it like we are essentially. And so, yes, we can absolutely do it with dreamers that have the kind of capital behind them. And that's what we're looking for. But just somebody who is only passionate and maybe won't be able to get the first one over the finish line. Like we're very honest and upfront. It is a capital intensive business. Sometimes it can take time depending on how you come into a new market, how we launch it, all that type of good stuff. So, and it's, so finding that right balance, that right blend, I think you're absolutely correct.
It's usually like a duo, right? Like you said, or a group that has financial acumen and backing. And then as long as they've got an operator that has the chops, we can work with that, So like it may be a vehicle for the other partner, but there's someone in it that's dedicated on the operations side and the people side.
Yeah. There may be not as many humans that align in that. But the reality is people with money tend to bet on people that they believe in.
Sure.
And so like, and people that can get the belief, the hustlers, the dreamers tend to associate themselves with someone that says, I actually would like to be a part of that. And that's where like the magic starts aligning nicely.
Yeah.
What I want to close with, just in case someone's watching this, what's the dream now for you guys? What happens next?
Yeah, it's really just scaling up the franchise business. You know, like we're excited about we're building out this team to be able to pursue this growth. You know, we're local here in DFW. You know, we're still excited about growing corporate and company-owned locations throughout DFW. We've got 6 right now. We've got a couple more under contract, and it's like, okay, we still think there's an awesome opportunity to continue down the path that our franchisees are going to be on, continuing to look at new real estate opportunities, just like our franchisees are going to be doing. And, you know, we're very, very excited to be able to talk to a lot of people about the brand who want to come in and bring it to their community. Yeah. That gets me really jacked up, and getting people on the path, right? I cannot wait to start reviewing the real estate with them and start getting into the nitty gritty of like, okay, like we found a site, like now what? You know, like, all right, here's our equipment team. Like that stuff like gets me amped. So like the growth piece of it is like what I'm the most excited about in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, we're just ready to bring Dillas to more communities. I mean, it's just, we feel like we have such a cool, unique product, and the brand is, you know, just very community oriented. So to be able to share that with more people and share our people, community, flavors, all of that is just really exciting. It's something special that we're ready to grow.
No doubt.
My last 2 closing statements are, one, early 2000s when Five Guys is blowing up. People would be like, oh my God, it's such an overnight success story. It was like founded in 1984. It took to get here. The other one that I like, as I think about your category, and you said shush, there was a quote that I won't ever forget. The founder of Panda Express bought into Tide cleaners. Now, Tide cleaners doesn't end up happening. This is years ago what his quote was, but it rung true. And he said, why did you buy into Tide? He goes, because I don't want to miss the next McDonald's. And I say both of those things because, one, for someone looking at 12 years of hard blood, sweat, and tears is something that I would be interested in buying into. And then secondly, like the reality, what you just said, you're looking for people that want to bring this to community. And when you bring it to a community, you're going to scale it, which means that next person that says, I want in, is going to be told no. And so those are the 2 things that if someone's watching this, I want them to hear. There's going to be a supply and demand here because the category is great. And then if I throw on the fact that you're still investing in the business corporately, I think it's an awesome play. And for me as a buyer, I would be looking at how much money are the founders reinvesting. So all in all, awesome story, Maggie and Kyle. Thank you so much for sharing some of it with me today.
Yeah,
good
love
stuff.
spending time with
Appreciate
you.
it, Nick.
For Maggie and Kyle, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Franchise. Take care.